Well, my name is Darcy Deming, and I am a healer. I was trained in the shamanic art by a Cherokee medicine woman. I was taken under her wing in 1990s and have worked with her ever since. I didn't do a whole lot of my shamanic work with the human beings. I did most of my work with animals for a very long time. And I spent years working with sacred sites all over, healing the energy there and restoring the energy flow. In the last 2 years, I have delved back into the human healing modalities of not only shamanic, but it's been a culmination of all of the teachings I've learned from many masters around the world, and it's created my own modality, I guess, whereby I get energy directly in from source as a conduit to my clients, and I receive intuitive downloads throughout the session, which I note, and it means nothing to me, but when I'm done, I do an intuitive counseling with my clients and share the information with them. And it's been quite astounding, and it's been an incredible healing journey for all of them as well as for myself. But what I want to talk about today is, as everybody can probably appreciate, we're living in some pretty chaotic times. And the chaotic times that we're living in are really all about our perception of them. How you look at interactions with each other, with your spouses, your friends, with community, is not always what is the reality that we're faced with. Okay, how do I make this clearer? A lot of times we have perceptions that are generated by our reactions. Somebody says something to us, we react in such a way, which has been a repetitive response that we have been programmed to react. For instance, I had an artist in our gallery. She'd been with us for 4 years, and she emailed me and said, I've decided to take all my art out. Well, my first 3D reaction was, oh my goodness, what did we do wrong? Did I do something that upset her? Was it me she's leaving about? Well, it really wasn't when we sat with it for a little bit. My guides came in and kind of slapped me around and said, this has nothing to do with you. This was her path, her choice to make those changes. But we fall into that pattern all the time through all parts of our day and how we interact with one another, assuming through our experiences that we're reading information from the outside coming in properly. And most of us aren't. We don't take that few moments to pause and say, to go into our heart, get out of our head, and discover what's the truth behind it. Does it really even have anything to do with you? One of the exercises, and I'm going to do this with all of you because I think it's important. It's something that I do with all my clients before I do a healing. It's just a little exercise, but I'd like you all to do it. And I want you to repeat after me. Okay? Close your eyes for a minute. Repeat out loud after me. I command my spirit. Say it out loud. I command my spirit to take the thoughts in my head and put them into my heart. I command my spirit to take the thoughts in my head and put them into my heart. I command my spirit to take the thoughts in my head and put them into my heart. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I want you to open your mics up and tell me what is on your mind right now.
I just thought that was extremely powerful.
What are you thinking about right now?
What am I thinking about right now? That I can do it. I can do all the things I need to do to go to wherever I want.
Okay, Carlos, what about you? What are you thinking about right after you finish that?
I'm not responsible for other people's actions.
Okay, Lulu?
Unity.
Okay,
Not thinking anything, but I feel a lot of tension in my head.
okay. Well, the most common answer after you do this exercise and you really proclaim it and drop the information into your heart is you will absolutely be thinking about nothing. Okay? And if you practice this, you will see soon. I did this when I learned this technique years ago. I would say it 4 or 5 times a day. And then I found that I was saying it once a day. But it takes all of the garbage in this false mind of ours that plays these games and tells us lies and tries to convince us who we are and who we aren't, and it drops it into your heart where your truth is. Okay? But it's a wonderful, wonderful tool for clearing all that out. Since I started doing it, I have modified it for other situations. Like at night when I go to bed now, every night, I lay down in bed, and instead of tossing around projects that I'm working on and clients and this and that, I lay down in bed and I say, I command my spirit to sleep now. I say it 3 times. I count down and I say now, and before I say now, I am asleep every night. It totally removes the chaos in your mind. And when we're living in a really chaotic world and we're being downloaded with lots of information, a lot of it false, we play these reels over and over in our mind, and it's not doing anything to help us on our path. You know, when you go out into nature and you sit with a grandmother tree and you just quiet your mind doesn't race anymore when you're out in nature. Have you ever noticed that? If you go for a hike, your mind isn't racing when you're out there. If you're sitting on the beach at an ocean, your mind's not racing in that area because you're grounded with Mother Earth, and she doesn't allow you to come from any other space but from here in your heart center. So we have to get back to that place to center us so that we're in a comfortable place where we aren't under false perception from what's going on around us and from what our head keeps telling us about ourselves. You know, we're all on a wonderful, unique path, and we have to honor that, and we can't honor that if we're in our head all the time. I have been really blessed with some amazing journeys in my life. I'll share one with you because it was probably the kickoff of who I am now in my sovereignty as a being, and my desire to be of service to others in what I do. And it was several years ago. We were living on a ranch in a remote part of Arizona. And I drove this 35-mile road back and forth to our gallery. And off to the right is this amazing thumb butte of a mountain. And every day I drove that road, it called. It just begged me to notice it, to acknowledge it, and it called me to it. And finally, one day, a friend of mine was visiting, and we had done some research, and there was a sacred cave somewhere on this mountain. And there was no way to find out how to get there. All we knew is that the indigenous tribe in the area believed that this mountain was the center of the universe, and that their creator lived in a cave on this mountain. So me being who I am, obviously I wanted to find that cave. So we decided to make the trek and see if we could find the cave. We drove out to that mountain. It was about 2.5 hours. I have a red-tailed hawk as one of my guides. We saw 59 hawks on that 2.5 hour drive. The universe was calling us, okay? And we embraced that. We arrived at a parking area kind of down at the base of the mountain. There was no trails, no idea where to go. But we walked in a direction and we ended up on an old, I would call it like a deer track or a trail that the animals were on all the time. And we followed that trail. We did ceremony. We asked permission to enter the mountain. We met the mountain guide and we continued to climb up this mountain. We reached this one point about 1/3 of the way up where there was this huge stone in the middle of the trail, and it had a quartz, a line of quartz running over it that looked like a snake. And from that moment, everything in my life changed. It was a November day and everything was brown. Everything was dry. There was no life, okay? When we stepped past that rock, our world changed. We stepped into the Wizard of Oz. Everything was green. Flowers were in bloom. It was the intensity of the sky color, the greens, the red flowers was as bright as you would see in the Wizard of Oz. We'd walked into another dimension. We continued up the trail and we did reach the top and we found the cave. And the opening was very small that you had to literally slide sideways into this cave. It smelled like sage. The walls were adorned with walking sticks that were standing around the exterior of the cave. There were necklaces hanging. There were gifts of all different kinds inside that cave. It was very sacred. So we laid down and we did ceremony. And in that ceremony, I was told to write a book, which I did. I was told the name of the book, and every chapter of the book was channeled through that cave. You have to learn, especially now in this magical time we're entering, to follow your heart. I can't even imagine what my life would be had I not followed that calling to go search for that cave, to go find my magic. And we get so inundated with television and computers and all this technology that a lot of times we're missing the message. We're missing our calling. Because it's all around us. If you can drop down into your heart and you can find it and you can respond when you're called. And everybody's calling is different. I've been called to many, many places. I've opened up incredible sites that were important to the planet to open up. But every time I'm called, no matter how daunting it is, no matter how frightening it is, I respond and I go forth. And I think something we all need to kind of think about, getting away from our everyday technology and life and find that quiet space within our heart to answer our call. And it can be something really very minimal. It may be creating a painting. It may be writing poems. We're all here to only do one thing in our life. Everybody says, I don't know what my purpose is. We only have one purpose, and everybody has the same purpose, and that's to be in service to others in some way, some form. So that's my little wisdom for the day. Do you have any questions, anybody? You can just open your mic. That's fine.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure if I tend to be the first one out here.
Hey,
That's
Anna, I'm gonna, if she's done presenting, I'm just gonna stop the recording right now first.
No, Becky, don't stop the recording yet.
Not yet, okay.
You can after my answer or her answer
Perfect.
to the question.
Or you can
you don't
keep
mind.
recording. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Sometimes people get a little shy about asking questions
Okay.
when they know it might be out there in the ethernet forever. So, Darcy, would you explain what you mean when you say you're called to open up space? What exactly do you mean? Like I have an idea, but I'm not sure what you're meaning by it.
When I'm called to open up space, I guess it's the same, and this is just my interpretation to experience. I would say for me, it is like when I do my healing work, my pure energy healing, my quantum energy healing. A lot of people do healing work and they say, well, I tap into Saint Michael or this and that and the other. I go directly to source. And source uses me as a conduit for whatever I'm doing, whether it has to do with the energy work I do, whether it has to do with me opening up a star temple, which I have done to allow the energy to flow back through the universe, whether it's the healing that occurred in that cave, whether it's interacting with customers in my store, whether it's how I communicate and relate with friends and family and anybody I interact with. It is opening up that space, is connecting to source so that I am communicating in purity. That's how I look at it.
Thank you. I love that explanation. I'm going to be quiet and let other people have a chance.
That's fine.
Darcy,